I want to ask this with the Desmond King before we totally move on to the 53-man roster here. Do you think that this has more to do with James Pierre or Joey Porter Jr., the signing of King?
Ooh, that's a good question. Well, I think you can frame it in kind of two ways. I think it has more to do with Joey Porter. I don't think they were ever going to rely on James Pierre to be like a real, like to play significant snaps even as a
Yeah.
reserve at corner. I think they were kind of counting on Joey to be that guy, and I don't know if he's there quite yet. We've talked about that a little bit before. I think he still has some developing to do before you can really trust him
Mm-hmm.
in live game action. And so I think you bring in Desmond King as that sure thing. Um, he's not, he's not a superstar in any right, but he's very solid, and I think he can still play. He's still relatively young, um, but also a veteran. And I think you bring him into account for, I hesitate to call it underperforming by Joey because he is a rookie. Like you can only expect so much from those guys, especially at
Yeah.
corner. But it was, I think underperforming relative to what our expectations at least were for him. So yeah, I do think this has a little bit more to do with Joey Porter than James Pierre.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think that after they kept James Pierre, the thought process went from we need a guy who's capable on special teams to a guy who could step in if Joey's not ready. And I think Joey's looked fine in moments, but I also think that he's looked just not ready yet in moments. And I think the preseason game against Atlanta wasn't his best performance. He hasn't really had that huge win outside of Buffalo, and even that interception was,
Yeah.
I mean, like I should have caught. I don't know if I would have, but I should. If I was in that moment, I should have caught that interception. Like that's how easy that ball was thrown to Joey Porter. Like nowhere. I couldn't even tell you where the wide receiver was in that play because when
Well,
you look at a picture,
Joey kind of shoved him out. I remember that play. Like
yeah,
he was facing like Khalil Shakir, who I think is like
yes,
5'8" and might be 180 pounds soaking wet. Joey just kind of pushed him out, and then and then Matt Barkley for some reason threw a ball to a side where there were literally no receivers there.
like nobody's in the, if you look at the picture from like the back of Joey Porter, there's no wide receiver in the frame of the picture. But I think that like Joey's had his wins, and I think that the development of Joey will come, but I also think that the pressure, like the Steelers don't want to put the pressure on him, and their goal throughout the offseason was to not put pressure on guys. Their defensive line is loaded so that Keanu Benton doesn't have to be an immediate starter if he's not ready. Darnell Washington, Zach Gentry would still be here if Darnell Washington did not progress as rapidly as he did. And at corner, like you're just not gonna, you're not gonna shove Joey Porter Jr. out there if you don't need to. The same with Nick Herbig. Like Nick Herbig, the plan was not for Nick Herbig to play a single defensive snap this season. And he's earned his place so that chances are he's going to see the field on defense during the regular season. But Marcus Golden was the guy that he's their number 3, or he was their number 3. Nick Herbig was just here to be a rookie and develop. I think Joey Porter, the plan now is, we wanted him to be an immediate contributor. We think he could be a contributor this season, but to a lesser degree. We needed to add somebody. That's why they went out and got Desmond King, a guy who, yeah, he does contribute on special teams, but he's more so a returner than anything. And he's got good return abilities. So I think Anthony McFarland's job is in trouble as a kick returner right now, which is exciting for the Pittsburgh Steelers. But I just think that it more so revolves around whether or not Joey Porter Jr. is that guy for the Pittsburgh Steelers right now.
Right.
Joey he's the future of the Steelers cornerback room, but there's no need to put a guy out there today and say, oh, well, he has to be ready. There's no other choice here. He has to be ready. Like,
Right.
that's just not what the Pittsburgh Steelers do.
Yeah, I think that the Herbig Golden analogy is really good because Herbig has been such a pleasant surprise and has made you so much deeper in a place where you didn't really expect it. Joey can still, I think, be that guy.
Yes.
And depth at corner is never bad, especially when you are making a move like this where Desmond King is not going to cost you a ton of money and he's going to give you a lot more depth, I think, relative to what his value is. But you don't it makes it so you don't have to count on Joey and you can still kind of you can still reap the benefits of his development and him being a contributor without saying you are our only contributor in this role. Like there's a little bit of a safety net for you if things don't work out exactly how we thought they would.
Exactly. And King's only 28 years old. Like if he comes out here and balls out and Patrick Peterson's done after this season, well, the Steelers have another option at corner that they could look at, and it could be the next Larry Ogunjobi or the next. I mean, Levi Wallace signed a 2-year deal, but really that was only supposed to be a 1-year deal. You could see those guys, and he could be that next option.